All right, so on this edition of Training Tuesday, we're going to talk about not a whole lot of new updated information for you this week. We'll have more for you next week. So um, a change for the renewal job aid. So we have a renewal job aid update for you. It's really going to affect SPO more than anything, but we want to make sure that you're aware of it. So you will see a new version out there. Also, we have a new BEP utilization plan that is available for use for all new procurements. If you have one that's already out on the street and published, you don't need to go and put the new one out there. But also, then we have the fun fact of the day and quote of the day. So let's jump right into it, shall we? So we have with the new upgrade, the version 15.8 upgrade from last week, we have a new process here where it's going to make things a little bit easier for the SPO and for vendors and all involved. So with that recent version 15.8 upgrade, the SPOs no longer have to do a bid amendment to attach the SPO signed NOA. So I'll go ahead and pull up the job aid and show you what's changed there. So the SPO will attach the signed renewal notice of award while it's in ready for approval status. If you approve prior to attaching the signed NOA, that's totally fine. You can still do a bid amendment prior to sending the bid. And that's another part of one of the upgrades in version 15.8 is it allows you to do a bid amendment after a bid has been approved, but prior to being sent without notifying the vendors. And so that's a really handy tool. There'll be plenty of situations where we'll need to utilize that. And that going back a couple weeks from what we talked about in the 15.8 upgrade, it really allows the SPO to change a few things without having to notify vendors or without having to disapprove to, for instance, extend a bid opening date or add a corrected attachment, something like that. This new process is just going to make it easier for the SPO, and it also prevents the vendor community from receiving 2 notification emails for every renewal. Because if you think about it, the vendor is going to receive an email once that bid is posted and published, saying that the renewal option is being exercised, and then the vendor community also receives another email when the SPO would do the bid amendment to attach that renewal notice of award. So let's go ahead and take it. I hope that makes sense to you all, but let's go and take a look at it. Sometimes we'll make it easier that way. So this is the renewal job aid. Nothing from the agency standpoint is going to change here, okay? So I want to highlight that. You still would put in all your documents the same way you normally would for a renewal. It's just that now on the job aid, you're going to see that the SPO, as a part of their approval process, can attach that SPO signed notice of award document. Of course, that'll be showing yes to vendor because that's important. That is the document that does need to be shown to the vendors. And then we talked about the SPOs adding the bidders for all our procurements now too. So that's still there. That's not changing. But the section that's moved is being changed here is, actually, why don't I go here and I will reject this change just to show you what it used to look like. You would have this bid amendment to publish the SPO signed notice of award. Okay. And now that'll be gone, and that is moved up as a part of the SPO approval process. Pretty handy. It makes the workflow that much easier moving forward, and that's what you'll see for all your renewals. And it's the change is very timely too as we move into renewal season. These next few months is where for most of our agencies that do a lot of renewals tied to the end of fiscal year. March, April, May, and June obviously are very busy months for most of our agencies concerning renewals. So you'll see that as a change there. All right, let's see. We'll go back to our slides now. Make sure I'm not missing any chats here. Oh yeah, awesome. Sorry, we got a couple comments regarding Jason Isbell with the drive-by truckers. So we have a question regarding the flexibility that allows the SPO to make changes. So regarding the SPOs taking action in bid buy, as opposed to sending it back to the agency. Now this is going to be the upgrades that were done in the system as a part of version 15.8. They just allow the SPO or APO to make those changes, whereas in the past it would lock down, and you couldn't add attachments, you couldn't add notes, you couldn't do a couple things like that. You couldn't, as the SPO, I wasn't able to change anything, do a bid amendment when it was in that ready for approval status. So regarding the question here, are they being encouraged to do so, to disapprove versus being able to just make the changes and move on? I think we're really going to see that as a case by case basis. Honestly, I don't have there's not a hard and fast rule here. The system is now allowing the APO or SPO to make those changes. That will be a case by case basis. So I'll just speak from my own point of view. Other SPOs might take a different choice. So this is just a flexibility within the system, but I'll add on to my own personal opinion here. If something gets to me and it's something that is very easily changed, depending on the situation and how many changes need to be made, I might just go ahead and make that small change and move ahead. I don't want to keep beating a dead horse here, but the one thing that I think will happen a lot would be the bid opening date. So let's say it gets to me, the bid opening date, it's an IFB. The bid opening date was originally set up to allow the 14 days. For whatever reason, it didn't make it through the approval path by the time it gets to me, and then now it's only allowing 13 days. Rather than me disapproving and sending it back, my personal choice will be, I'm just going to make the change and then go ahead and publish it to allow for that 14 days. Certainly with the SPO would be within their right to disapprove, but that's going to be depending. Now, if there's a lot of changes that need to be made now, or if it's something that maybe it's continually occurring, maybe a certain attachment isn't being attached at the right time, or there could be a number of things that SPOs are looking for and APOs are looking for. We want to allow, because we also don't want the same corrections to need to be made, right? So I might disapprove in order to use that as kind of a training moment for our agency folks. Say, hey, this keeps happening. I don't have enough time to make all those changes for multiple procurements with multiple users. So I hope that answers the question. There is no specific guidance one way or the other. It just, now there is some more flexibility within the system, whereas before we didn't even have a choice. We didn't even have a choice. We had to disapprove because there was no way for me to add that. And so I think as we move forward, we're going to see some things here or there. And I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm hungry that day. Maybe it's Monday morning. I'm in a bad mood and I want to disapprove. No, I'm just kidding. Another instance would be, and I might have seen this already, is an uploaded or an updated solicitation document, or maybe they didn't have the standard certs on a small purchase less than 50 or something like that. From my standpoint, if I'm going to disapprove, I know that's going to be coming right back through me at some point. So I might just go ahead and add the standard certs there for that small purchase under 50 that's needed, and then go back and say, hey, guess what? On this bid, we forgot to attach that. So next time, be on the lookout for that. I think we'll probably see it both ways. And if I didn't answer that question right, contact me. All right, so that's the renewals job aid. And then moving on, let's go to our next slide. So we have a new BEP utilization plan, version 21.0. So we have a link here, a link directly to that BEP utilization plan. Also, you can always get it by, it lives in the solicitation and contract templates and forms page on our CPOGS site. So you can go to the CPOGS site, click on Procurement Resources Library, and then solicitation and contract templates and forms. Now, I'm not going to walk all the way through the U plan. I honestly, I just found out that it was that it was out there too on late last week, Thursday or Friday. So I haven't had a chance to walk through it completely. I scrolled through it, but so I'm not able to tell you exactly what changed regarding the previous one. I can pass on some information that if you have a BEP or if you have a IFB or RFP out on the street right now, you don't need to go and change and add this new one. It is for just new procurements moving forward. Now, if you do have a IFB that is not published yet, but is making its way through the approval paths, maybe this is a perfect opportunity. You can utilize that 15.8 upgrade. You wouldn't have to disapprove in order to attach the new U plan. You can just go ahead and attach it as a part of the while it's in ready for approval status. So anything that's not published yet, make sure we have the new U plan up there. I'll just pull it up really quick. You can see that it's version 21.0 and has some just utilize this. I shouldn't say utilize the newest utilization plan. Let's say use the most recent utilization plan. And how I got there, just as a reminder for any of our newer folks, that a lot of our documents live in the Procurement Resources Library. And so if you go to the CPOGS website, make that a favorite for you. Shameless plug there. A lot of information on this website for you. And at the bottom, Procurement Resources Library. So the steps are on that slide, Procurement Resource Library, and then solicitation and contract templates and forms. This is where all of our templates and forms live. And so at the very bottom, if you scroll down, you'll see the utilization plan right there. Okay. Okay, and if we do have any other specific questions regarding the BEP utilization plan, maybe I'll take a look at it this week. But most of those questions can be filtered back up through your APO and SPO. Okay. All right. Fun fact of the day. We had two here. So March 23rd, on this day, 1839, the first recorded print use of OK, all correct, occurred in Boston's Morning Post. One predecessor of OK was OW, all right. And I went down a small little rabbit hole last night, and there was this weird little thing that used to happen. I guess it was in vogue, was these humorists would use these ridiculous acronyms to come up with things. It was kind of strange. So, and then they would misspell them on purpose. I don't know. It was weird. But also, it's National Puppy Day. Who doesn't love a good puppy? So contact your local puppy shelter and tell your wife, husband, spouse, significant other that Dave said it's National Puppy Day. So go get you a puppy. And then our quote of the day, I love Ella Fitzgerald. It isn't where you came from, it's where you're going that counts. That's always the most important thing. Do we have any other final questions? Not seeing any. All right, go listen to Drive By Truckers and or Jason Isbell, and we'll see you next week. Thanks, everybody.